r/AskReddit. People that work in or around porn. What are some of your horror stories?
Claim your free AirPods today by clicking the first link in the description down below.
Not porn. Exactly. But written erotica. Given that people are getting off to it, I figure it's enough to count. I used to do work on commission from time to time, not often enough that it made a huge percentage of my sales. But I'd occasionally get some disturbing requests through kids, particularly graphic vor and illicit, ape, all kinds of stuff that you can't exactly just pick up on Amazon. Usually they'd put the request through in such specific detail that the buyer had obviously put so much thought into it that I got the feeling they were just trying to make someone else think about their fantasy. And that's what got them off, rather than wanting the material for themselves. I probably turned down about 25% of my commissions because I felt uncomfortable supporting that, and I'm not particularly morally squeamish. Most smut writers work on the principle of your kink is not my kink. But your kink is okay. And I was largely no exception. Some people I knew would take the gig, but slap a 100% surcharge on top, which makes a lot of sense. After all, given the topic, you can't exactly turn around and sell it after the fact. So it's a one and done sort of situation. Then there was the guy, very nice, obviously a bit hesitant to be asking for it, who wanted me to write a story about him being sounded by a Hot Wheels car. He wanted the first half to be able at going in, which is bad enough, and then the second half to be about the damage the little metal wing mirrors would do as it came out. I politely declined, because I didn't want to think about that image for any longer than I had to. You think that's bad? I once got a guy who asked for a story where wombats force fed him honey until he got too fat to move. Then they rolled him around and took turns ducking him with cucumber strap-ons. I was super tempted to take it too, since he offered quadruple my normal rate. Yeah, if you could not post RPMs, that'd be great. We knew a girl who got caught up in the camgirl craze. My husband and I have zero problem with ex-workers, but we did gently warn this girl that people will ask you to do things that will be on the internet forever. She gave us a speech about how it was none of our business and that she had dignity and wouldn't do anything that could impact future employment, blah blah blah. 2 weeks later, she was pissing in a bucket while fingering her ass because someone paid her $20. Edit. Obviously, there's more to the circumstances of the story than what I've boiled down into a small post on the net. So if you guys who are sending me messages telling me what I am could kindly go duck yourselves, that would be great. It happens to the best of us. One day you're a Twitch streamer, the next you're fingering your fiery hit bucket. Can confirm. Was Twitch streamer. Now I duck pigeons for Big Macs. These stories have kinda ruined porn for me. For at least the next 2 hours or so. Requiem for a Dream will ruin it for months. Ass to ass. I used to do cam work. I had an Instagram strictly for networking. When I broke up with my crazy boyfriend, he got into my Instagram and posted my home address. This could have gone so wrong. Luckily, most of my followers just called him an asshole and were super supportive. Not necessarily a horror story, but could have been very easily. What a jerk. That is super low of him to do. I'm glad none of your followers did anything crazy. The weird/heartwarming thing about this kind of grassroots porn industry is that consumers get super loyal about their individual camgirls. A friend of mine is a burlesque dancer who cams on the side. She got doxxed last year by some dude/pole/who got all mad about some dumb hit. And literally nothing happened as a result. Some of her followers actually started trying to track the dude down. Worked with Ron Jeremy once. He has serious boundary issues and zero respect for his co-stars. We weren't shooting porn, it was a regular interview in a public setting, and afterwards while taking pictures, he grabbed the girl pornstar by the shoulder and completely exposed her breast to everyone. She shut him down. But you could tell she was humiliated as he kept trying to fondle her. Interesting. I had no idea. I've noticed his t-shirts almost always have soap stains near the bottom. Wait. That's not soap. What is it? I recently saw a video by Red Dead Redemption, who used to be avid in porn. She claims that guys will crash high school parties for potential new recruits and sway them, then start shooting days after they turn 18. That's not a horror story. That's porn recruitment 101. Can you imagine if they set up booths in high school right next to the army recruiters? I don't have a horror story, but a successful story. I dated a cam girl for a little over a year. Okay, so she has an Amazon account, and it has a list of hit you can buy her, and she will wear it on cam. Or she will use whatever toy. She was well known enough for guys to buy her these things. Well, she moves in with me. I catch wind to this, and I have a brilliant idea. Why not put a grill on there? And some other useful household items. It worked. Lol, I guess the idea I had never thought about is I used my address and the internet found out she was living with me and everyone complained lumfeo. But I got a free grill, you duckheads. Genius. Lol. In all fairness, we did use the grill for one of her sessions. It was football themed and I was in the background cooking it while she acted like she did, and I was getting pissed because I didn't want to burn anything, and as you know, a session nice and 15 minutes long, it's usually 2 hours minimum. If they don't watch porn while working, is it SFW or NSFW? I saw Jimmy watching porn during work. Yeah. Jim is in the research department. That's his job. It's safe. You're there to work, not to watch porn on the job. While you get a free show. As a stagiaire, you're too busy with anything else on set to even worry about the 1+ naked talent right in front of you. Throwaway. I used to be a cam girl for a couple of years. I did cam sites and sold clips. It wasn't my dream, but I had a good fan base and people seemed to like me. I quit when I decided I'd rather have a normal job. Porn wasn't for me. Anyway, there was one girl on one site whose whole gimmick was that she smoked pot and was a libertarian. She had a hippie attitude about taxes and big government and whatever else. Pretty sure the guys on that site couldn't give a hit. But there was a journal section for models and she'd always fill in with libertarian spam. What ifs? So one day I'm on Tumblr and there's all these other models flipping out. Turns out Atlas, ducked over there, made a video with a dog. Like an actual four-legged dog. So everyone is rightfully disgusted. IDK what happened after that, but I think her account got suspended. Once I was doing a Skype show for some guy from Bahrain. I'm fingering myself with my eyes closed to not hating to look at him. At one point I open my eyes for a minute and his camera falls. When he picks it back up I see like 5 ducking dudes behind him. Furiously wanking to presumably me. I was really weirded out. Decided to stay off cam for like 4 hours after the Bahraini circle jerk. IDK I have like tons of stories. I'll tell more if anyone actually cares. Edit okay. So there are a lot of private forums for cam girls and porn girls. Most of the topics are pretty average. Most cam girls are just girls who like X and money. That being said, a lot of them have issues. It's like half and half, I guess. Some of the smartest women I've ever met are cam girls. But the job is really emotionally taxing. Anyway, you get a lot of girls who've never had X edition. Usually Americans. A couple times a year there's a post where a girl feels her cervix for the first time and thinks she's got a pussy tumor. There was one girl who admitted to doing shot fetish videos because she thought her own poop couldn't make her sick. Enough about them. Let's talk about customers. I once had someone's wife come in on him while on Skype. I just froze. Sometimes on the streaming site you get guys who try and asks. That's always scary. And guys who have no money but try to convince you they'll pay after the show. But only if they like it. Just like in real life, where you only pay for good meals. IDK. Ask stuff in the replies and I'll answer. Bahraini circle jerk. That should be in your throwaway account's name. Thanks. Not in porn, but in military. Once I saw one guy come back from the fence with a smile on his face. I asked him what makes him so happy, and he said that he had sex with a prostitute off the fence. Now he have HIV. Bad choices, kid. He was a casualty of whore. A hero of whore. Yeah, that's what I'll be. And when I come home, they'll be damn proud of me. This is a story from my friend, who is a porn director in Brazil. He got into some financial problems and had to take a few jobs he didn't usually do, like filming bestiality videos. The company picks him up and they drive a few hours outside of Sao Paulo to some farmhouse where they will film a horse having sex with a woman. The female performer was late, so they waited and waited. Finally, she shows up and it's the director, girlfriend. He had no idea she was screwing horses, and she had no idea he was filming them. He said she manipulated the fight to make what he was doing worse than what she was doing. Lol. In Brazil, your girlfriend cheats on you with horses and not humans? Bizarre. The porn business is a strange one. You never know who your so is having sex with. Not me, but I had a roommate that was a porn star. She was really nice and normal, just like doing porn, and her boyfriend was cool with it too. Within a few months she was working for big studios and working with big porn stars like really weird, so it seemed like she was doing well. Then she got into meth. Within a few weeks of doing meth she started only wearing rollerblades and was always sucking on a sucker. Her boyfriend broke up with her because of the meth addiction. She got a new boyfriend who never did meth before and is now a recovering meth addict because of her. She signed a lease on a $2,000 a month apartment and just bailed on it somehow. Last I heard she had stopped doing porn altogether and moved back home. This was all in the span of 3-4 months, and she was just 18 at the time. The porn industry gave her access to drugs she couldn't handle and literally destroyed this girl and the people around her. I have another former roommate who is currently in the porn business. He started off as a lighting guy, but had dreams of being the talent, so he started doing bucket shoots, which he loved. Now he's worked his way up to orgy shoots and completely embraces the lifestyle. He's actually pretty well adjusted and has a passion for it, so I could see him succeeding. The only problem with it for me is that if he makes it big, he'll constantly be popping up when I'm trying to watch porn, and I have no interest in watching this dude duck. So it'll just alienate a bunch of porn for me. Edit. I never actually made the Boogie Nights connection, but that is spot on. The reason she started rollerblading was because she did a shoot in rollerblades and wore them all the time to try and learn. Once the shoot was over, she just continued wearing them because I guess she enjoyed it. The rollerblading was towards the end when she was heavily using meth and not really there mentally most of time. She was actually on the front page of Pornhub for a little and was on a list of 50 porn stars to look out for. But she really went off the deep end, so it seems like she wasted a lot of potential. Also, porn didn't make her do meth, it just gave her easy access to it. Before she started doing porn she didn't even smoke weed, but within a month she had a guy delivering her acid. Also, I forgot to mention that her boyfriend had a lizard that he always carried around. That has nothing to do with her or porn, it was just really odd. Edit 2. I'm getting a lot of people asking for a name and trying to guess who it is. I can't in good conscience give away her name, I've already divulged too much personal stuff about her. She hasn't made a video or done a shoot in 3 months, if that helps your search. But I really can't tell you who she is. The only hint I'll give you is that no one has correctly guessed who it is yet, so every name in the comments is wrong so far. Also, to whoever guessed Faye Reagan, she was doing porn almost a decade ago, there's no way she's 18. The girl who was my roommate was 18 when she was doing porn and is probably 19 by now. She literally graduated from high school and immediately moved out to LA to do porn. I thought the rollerblading would give it away since there can't be too many videos of porn stars on rollerblades. But I guess there's enough to still make it hard to find. Edit 3. There's been a lot more guesses and I just wanted to say that all of them have been wrong so far. I won't make another edit if someone guesses correctly, but I'm actually surprised no one has correctly guessed it so far. So how exactly are you finding these roommates? I've yet to have a roommate who does porn. The closest thing I had was a stripper for a roommate. Plot twist, she's also a porn star. creating a throwaway for this one. Not strictly porn industry, but close enough to warrant sharing. I had a mate who went to my school and lived on my street. Over the years I ended up getting pretty close with his mum. When I was younger she was like an auntie I'd go to for advice. But as I hit puberty I started to see her differently. It turned out the attraction was mutual. I was 17 when we first had sex. We had this weird secretive affair going on for a couple years. She was a single mother, so no husband to cheat on, but hiding it from the bro was kind of sketchy at times. I'm pretty sure he knew, but didn't know how to bring it up. If he knew what his old lady had got up to when she was his age, it would have turned his hair grey. During that time, towards the end, when we're starting to decide the novelty was wearing thin, she took me to her brother's exclusively gay brothel. I remember the outside looking super ritzy and the inside being a dingy, poorly lit hotel bar. Our plan was to get a nice little private show or something like that. But we were sidetracked. Her brother was very openly gay. Years later I'd see Mr. Slave on South Park and instantly associate the two, and seemed like super into me. He said that we just had to come upstairs and see his latest scene. I went along and was taken to a little conference room that they'd turned into a bootleg porno set. The cameramen were just two regular dudes. One looked like a bartender, filming with knockoff DVRs. No tripods or anything. All handheld. Now I just want to reiterate. I was still pretty young and green. Stuff like 69.9 and shallow nail play were still fairly exotic in my book. I don't know if he thought I was more learned on the hardcore stuff or whether he just wanted to traumatize a young impressionable kid. But either way I had no warming. There's two unattractive middle-aged guys on a black couch. The stockier of the two has his fist so far in the other guy's as you can see the knuckles working under his belly. The smell is sour hit and cheap baby oil. The guy getting fisted moans and starts slapping the other guy's shoulder weakly, almost in submission. He slides his arm out and is slack. Dark red soccer flesh came out after it. He's just lying there, holding his knees while his guts is hanging out of him. This weird yellow juice running from the gape. One time my nan apologized for breaking wind by saying sorry families. That just fell out. It was that thought that made me retch up bile and run off to the gents. We'd only been there 20 minutes. I asked her to drive us home after that. Edit. It's so strange to read this stuff in text. I haven't thought about the bro's mum in years. I buried it for ages because I hated to think about it. But when I started to write it out earlier I felt a kind of mental block give way in my head. I spent the longest time being ashamed of what happened with her. It still makes me feel quite gross to be honest. But there's something kind of liberating about sharing your secret anonymously with a few thousand strangers. You all get to share the psychological burden with me now lol. To all those I've scarred irrevocably, I can only offer you an r/ibleach link and an apology x. Edit 2. I've getting some encouraging and supportive messages from users suggesting I seek help and not to blame myself for what happened. I appreciate your thoughts and I plan to talk to someone. I should note that where I'm from legal age of consent is 16. So there's no ape charge here, I don't think. I really didn't want to paint her as being horrible or predatory, but the more I think about what went down, the less okay I feel about my part in it. But anyway, thank you all for your support. It's too early for this hit. Edit. This is my top comment now. Reddit is weird. I worked in a porn store for a little over a year and would encounter some interesting people daily. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I'm a decent looking gal, so the creepers would always come back to talk to me, and being located near the airport also brought in some characters. Sometimes they'd leave me money for just having a conversation with them, or picking out a movie for them to buy. My favorite story of working there involved a foreign French man who told me his mother taught ballet his entire childhood. He went on to tell me that my posture was bad and tried to show me how to properly stand. This was a very normal conversation compared to most I would have, so I just went along with it. Next thing I know he is moving my feet, so I thought, to show me how to stand properly, and off comes my shoe. I'm sorta in a panic now, not knowing why this dude has my shoe in his hand and is still trying to carry on a conversation with me. I then proceed to snatch my shoe back and go behind the counter so he can't take the other one off, and so I can put this one back on. As I'm putting my shoe back on, out walks my boss out of the back room and his eyes instantly lock on her feet now. Instead of warning her, I watched to see if the same thing is about to happen, and sure enough, I see him bend down and start to unzip her boot. Lucky for her, she was wearing boots that had a fake zipper on the outside and a real one on the inside, and she wasn't taking his it. She runs off into the back room mid-zip before the man realizes it was a fake zipper and leaves him alone in the store with me again. He stands back up and tells me to enjoy my day and leaves. This was the only time I ever saw that man, but after that day I never wore shoes that were easy to get off. I just pictured Gollum trying to remove your shoes.